Hi everybody, I got my incubator today, yay! And as described, it was brand new in the box, never used. Cords never untangled, it's brand new, and it works well. At the end of this video, I'm going to put a little clip of me showing you some of the things it does, and yeah, I mean, the instructions are humorous because it was obviously written by someone where English is not their first language, but they were easy enough. They were easy enough to understand. I understood it all. No, not confused about any of them. Thank goodness. Hopefully on Monday, Jamie will send me my eggs, and he'll probably kind of get in touch with me this weekend and tell me how many he has, or on Sunday, tell me how many he has for me, and if he was able to get my dozen plus extras, the extras I really, really want because it helps me possibly have a better hatch, you know. So we shall see. But I want to talk to you about something. I talked about food safety and security and how you need to be your own advocate with that. You have to take care of yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. If you rely wholly on the commercial food industry, you probably are not going to have very good health because most of that is, let's just say, questionable as far as the residues that are on it, like especially vegetables and grains, which I don't really eat. Rarely do I eat vegetables, or rarely do I eat fruits. Mostly fruit in season in the summer, but after it's over, I don't save my blueberries on that kind of stuff generally. I do have some frozen from years ago. I don't know if they're any good anymore. But, there's so many, more and more, they're trying to make regulations against growing your own food in some way, whether it's laws or ordinances or covenants in a subdivision. They don't want you to be self-sufficient. They don't want you to grow your own food. The worst is you've got to have a lawn of grass. You can't have raised beds with vegetables and flowers in them. And there's nothing wrong with flowers. Flowers serve a purpose too. And they're beautiful, of course. But I was listening to Joel Salatin talk at, I guess it was a farmer's market or a fair or something. And he was having a conversation with somebody. And he said, and I agree with him, and I've said this too in different words, he said that when food tyranny gets to a certain point, that circumvention becomes easier than compliance. I agree with that 100%. In fact, compliance is probably not something we should even want to achieve with our government food, the USDA, FDA. We shouldn't even want to achieve compliance with that. Why would you comply with that if it's against what you know to be healthy for you and your family, your children especially? I see so many children who can't learn. My son, who's a teacher, sees so many of these kids who he said, like he was telling me about a kid the other day, he said, he's brilliant, he's very smart, he told me all the stuff he can do, and he said, but he can't sit still. He is so hyper. And he said he's just up and down and all over the place. And he said, he's a chubby kid, right? But he's very intelligent. He said he can't use his intelligence for 5 minutes. He just can't do it. He said, it's a shame. Well, this is kind of what, we're dealing with. Kids who cannot learn, they cannot sit down. And a lot of that has to do with what they're eating. He said most of these kids just dump their lunches in the trash. Well, considering school lunches, that's probably where they belong, honestly. And I remember my school lunches, and when I think about that, I thought, well, yeah, if they're still doing that or worse, that's bad. So they don't have the nutrition that supports their brain function or their impulse control. They don't have it. Well, if you decide that your family is going to be healthy, you can do that. But sometimes you're going to have to be a rebel and buck the rules. That's why I was talking about the last time, stealth livestock. Quail is the ultimate stealth livestock. Rabbits, ultimate stealth livestock. Now, rabbits don't lay eggs, but you can breed your rabbits. You can sell the babies. You can also use their manure, and their manure is a cool manure. It doesn't have to be composted to use in your garden like quail manure or chicken manure. And so rabbits are the ultimate. They're quieter than quail, which is, almost not even possible. Quail are so quiet, and you can raise quail. You can sell hatching eggs. You can, if you have the male in there, and you can sell eating eggs, because quail eggs are just the most beautiful eggs in the world, in my opinion. But that is, if you do that in a subdivision where it has covenants against any kind of livestock animal, that is what I call circumvention. And that's a good thing, because it is to your family's benefit. So I loved that. Joel Salatin is, when we lose Joel Salatin, we are going to lose a treasure. Well, he also was talking about what I've talked about often, about the avian influenza garbage. And he said isn't there one every year, that new flu every year? That's what I said. 20 years of chicken keeping, and every single year there's a bird flu scare. Doesn't scare me because I know the facts. But he said every single year. And he said years ago, I guess it was in his state, he said 25 years ago, there was a huge bird flu outbreak supposedly. So they've been doing this for a long time. And he said that they were slaughtering a lot of chickens, which is ridiculous. And then he said he had two veterinarians, state vet or up in the government veterinarians, they want to come visit his farm. His farm is called Polyface Farm, and they want to come visit his farm. And he said they came on 1 week on 2 different days. They weren't the same with each other. And he said each one separately said that the reason there is an outbreak of bird flu, like there is in the commercial industry, is because too many birds crowded too closely together. Unhealthy flocks in what they call monocultures, where you got 3 birds in a cage, and next to them you get 3 more birds, and the next to them you got 3 more birds. And if one wild bird, some infected animal, gets into that coop, into that big, no, coop, it's not a coop, it's a huge building. If one gets in there and it poops in a cage, and that bird, and some of these chickens catch avian influenza, what do you think is going to happen in a monoculture? It's going to rip through there like wildfire. And he said those 2 veterinarians also said there are 50 more veterinarians dealing with the same issue right then. And he said if they say anything, he said they would be fired. They would be silenced. They don't want you to know that commercial industry is the worst way. In fact, Joel even just said, he said, we need to defund the commercial egg industry. Defund. Because you don't need it. If people were all raising their own chickens, and most people were, you could go buy from some local person, right? Oh, but disease. Yeah, calm down about that. So, so he was really talking a lot about that. And also, in another conversation, I heard him say exactly what I have said on backyardchickens.com. Remember, I've been a member of that for 20 years. It says 18 on my placard because, I was already a member for 2 years before Rob Ludlow bought it and made it what it is. But years ago, there was this big thing about breeding for resistance. Breeding your stock for resistance to disease, to contagious disease. And they were specifically, I think they were talking about Merrick's disease, but it applied to mycoplasmosis, infectious coryza, anything that makes them a carrier. And on this conversation on BYC, someone said, well, it seems logical to me that if you want to breed for resistance, you keep the birds that got the disease and recover and breed from them. And I interrupted and I said, why would you do that? What? That makes 0 sense. So you're breeding for resistance, and you are going to breed the birds that did not resist the disease? Are you serious? No, you cull those birds. You breed from the strong ones who didn't get infected. That's what you do. And I heard Joel Salatin the other day say exactly the same thing. And I've been telling people for years, it's just common sense. If you're going to breed for resistance, why would you breed the weak? The ones that caught the virus or bacteria, whatever, they're the weak. You cull them. I mean, you don't keep them in your flock. You get rid of them. I'm sorry, that's hard, but that's the reality of what you need to do with chicken disease. And you keep the ones who did not, whose immune systems are strong enough to resist the disease. That's what resistance is. So that is it was such a crazy conversation back then. And I thought, these people that don't even make any sense to breed weak birds. What the heck? You're doing the opposite of breeding for resistance when you do that. And as long as Joel Salatin tells me something, I'm going to take that to the bank every day of the week. Every day of the week. And I have learned over the years from so many great people, the PhDs in poultry science, who helped me out tremendously, who actually one even bought birds from me a few times. And it's just crazy. And Lady Hawk's veterinarian up in Kentucky, when she lived in Kentucky and had an Arabian mare, and her veterinarian was a very famous racehorse vet in Kentucky. And he'd confer with me on things from time to time, and what he told me was stuff I don't hear from anybody else, and what most veterinarians don't know about chickens. Now, if a veterinarian's a chicken keeper, they know a lot more. I know several veterinarians who are chicken keepers, and I have quite often said things in the forum, and they will come in behind me and like my post, and I'm thinking, okay, that helps me know that I'm still on the right track. If I'm getting that kind of feedback from veterinarians, that I know I'm on the right track. And there's so many things that you'll see with chickens you just never saw in a book anywhere. It's just crazy, things that you can see. And the worst thing was the hen who had the 2 baseball-sized tumors in one lobe of her liver. That was her liver. And she laid a few eggs. She died 3 years later, without laying another egg. And she would bloat up, and then the bloat would go down. She'd bloat up, and the bloat would go down. She looked like bowling ball belly. And when she finally did die, at about over 3 years old, I said, I've got to do a necropsy on her. I have to open this hen up. This doesn't make any sense. Why did she not lay for 3 years? And so when I opened her up, there's these 2 like hardball, like a softball, a hardball, baseball hardball size, the side where her liver was supposed to be. And I said, what in the heck is that? So I actually cut it out. I cut them out, cut them open, see what was in there. And I consulted the vet in Kentucky. God bless him. He was such a great guy. He is such a great guy. But had no more contact with him because, Lady Hawk didn't live there. She had to get rid of her mare and all that kind of stuff. But he said, you know what that is. He said, well, hens are hatched themselves with the seed of every yolk of egg that they're ever going to lay in their whole lives. And I already knew that. And he said, those yolks were going somewhere. He said, they all went into her liver, all of them. After that, she stopped laying, they were going to her liver. How she stood up for 3 years, that was a huge hen, biggest hen I think I've ever seen. Buff Orpington, big. I mean, she was just a giant hen. And he said, I said, well, she hadn't been as strong a hen as she was. I don't know how was she standing for 3 years with this happening to her. But he said he had the exact same kind of thing happen with a pony. Well, no, that was the other thing. There was another thing I saw. Not that the ponies don't have anything go anywhere, but there was another thing. I had a couple of hens with what they have on their back, on the backside, just on the, not in their vent, but underneath. There's a big bump, big giant lump, and one of them was bumpy, the other one was not. And I had a Delaware hen with that thing, and he said that's a teratoma. He says it's like a cyst, like humans even get. And he said they usually have all kinds of weird stuff in them. And he said he had a pony in his practice that had a teratoma like that and had all kinds of stuff in it. When I cut open that thing after she died, oh my word, it was full of loose yolk. It was full of what looked like cooked chicken. It was full of all kinds of weird stuff. So, I mean, who talks about a teratoma in a chicken raising book? You don't. There's all kinds of stuff that you'll never know unless you have the experience, or you glean from my experience or somebody else's experience who has something similar happen. I've never seen anything like that on other chickens. I mean, they might have not even noticed it was there, honestly. I just happened to notice I had two chickens, one blue Plymouth Rock, and one Delaware hen. So anyway, I'll go ahead and put the video up. It's just a really short thing, kind of showing a little bit about how the incubator operates. And what's really cool about this one is you don't have to open it to put water in the trays down below to up the humidity. It has an outside bottle that fills it from the outside. You don't even have to open the incubator. And I think it's going to be great. I hope it's going to be a really good hatch. So everybody take care, and stay tuned for the very short incubator clip, okay? And I'll get back to you probably when my eggs ship, and we'll see how many I'm going to get. Bye, y'all. My incubator arrived today. And I've got it set up. I don't have any water in it. That's why the humidity is 26%. And it's still coming up to temp. It's supposed to go up to 99.5. Well, it has the hatch day and everything, but these are the turners. They're pretty cool. Here's a turner test for you here. This is how to. This is just the test. If you want, it'll go all the way over there, and then if you go back to the top here, okay, you stop it in the middle. So these are pretty cool, and you can it's got 2 channels, and you fill one at a time anyway. I don't know if I'm going to do a dry hatch or what, but this is it. The Matacoop X, a 30 egg incubator. Now 30 eggs is it depends on obviously how big your eggs are in here. You can get a lot more quail eggs in here. And they don't have dividers between the eggs like the other turner does on the other one, but you don't have to put all these. Each of these is individual. There's 5 of these, and you don't have to use them all, obviously, if you don't want to. You can lay them on their sides or vertically up on the pointy end. Pointy end down is the best way, in my opinion, to hatch. So here it is. Oh, this is very exciting. It's a good deal on eBay. It was brand new in the box, never used. So anyway, this is what's going on. Now my eggs should be coming next week. I think Jamie's probably going to ship on Monday, and I'll get back to you and we'll see what happens. Now this right here opens up, or this is open all the way. You can close it part way, you can close it all the way. This is great for controlling the humidity. On this one, you have to take this little thing out. I'm always losing these things, right? So and this one, the turner's separate from this. This is styrofoam, but it's harder to clean. It's a good incubator. However, this is far more advanced and superior to that one, I think, generally. Although there's nothing wrong with the Hova Beta Genesis over there, the styrofoam one. It's time to up my game a little bit here, and I rarely need to incubate more than 30 eggs. I think I only did probably one time. Well, maybe twice. I don't know. I rarely fill up a 42 egg turner over there. So 30 is fine. So there you go.